Okay, I'm being joined by Ingrid Summerfield, President, Ingrid Summerfield Hospitality, coming to us from Napa Valley. How are you?
Very well this morning. We just had an atmospheric river last night, so
Yeah,
lots of green here. It's beautiful, and
yeah.
still sunshine this morning.
Is California opening up? Are they starting to drop some of the restrictions?
Governor Newsom just dropped the stay-at-home order literally Sunday night, so almost the entire state is back in a purple tier, which means limited outdoor dining and personal services are open again. And then various cities have various, travel restrictions. For example, San Francisco still has a mandatory quarantine for anybody coming out from further than 120 miles, but it's still a bit of a patchwork.
Yeah. Well, how
But
have you been over this mess?
well, I've been, I look back from the beginning, and I knew by middle of February that we were headed for something disastrous because all of the indicators were there in the economy, in the travel, in the booking pace, and just reading the news. So I think I got wind of it a little bit earlier than a lot of people, and we started putting, things in place to mitigate the hotel losses financially, because we saw in Silicon Valley and San Francisco, we saw drop off come very, very quickly, particularly also international drop off, which does feed Silicon Valley and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And then middle of March, the close down started happening. So really March, April, May, we remained open in all of our hotels. I asset manage 2 in San Francisco and 2 in Silicon Valley, and we decided it would be more beneficial to stay open and cost us just as much money, but was more ability to cater to the needs of travelers. And in hindsight, that was the right decision. At the time, it was difficult. And then, I have 2 hotels in Hawaii that I oversee, and those got shut down middle of late March and just reopened in November. And then I work with and by the way, they're all on SHR, so we love you guys.
Thank
And
you.
then I work with a property in Washington State on the Columbia, in Richland, the Lodge at Columbia Point. And that property actually has weathered this storm quite nicely, but it's been a start stop. It's like being on a treadmill that moves exceedingly slow, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of speed, and then it comes to a standstill again. And you helping these hotels navigate COVID and the financial downfall, and the employees and all of that is just tremendous challenge.
So, what are some of the things the hotels you're managing should be doing right now as things start to look better?
So, I mean, we're focused on, and I'm going to talk from a revenue perspective, but we are obviously the safety, the cleanliness, the safety, the COVID protocols are super, super important. Being transparent about those on your website and your check-in process and training your staff, that's baseline, because that's what people are looking for. On the revenue side, hotels need to look at their websites. What are they offering? Who are they catering to? Have they adapted to the new normal? Are they, I'll take San Francisco as an example. I mean, San Francisco, 35% of the revenue comes from international, 20% roughly from conventions, 20 to 25% from business travel. Well, that all is out the window. And then the rest is domestic leisure. And many of the domestic leisure, they're not going to fly into San Francisco. It's a big city, even though we've done great with COVID. As far as cities go. So you have to look at what's important to people. What are you offering? How are you repositioning your hotel? What's the messaging on your website? Is your photography up to date? So that's super, super baseline, but many hotels just don't even think of that. And if you're in a drive market like Napa Valley, you know, you'll have a different messaging. If you're in Hawaii, you have to get people over the fear of flying. But you know, so it really depends what your segmentation is, what your service, where you need to go to at least try and position yourself to get some baseline business into probably realistically, you know, some Q2, but realistically it's going to be Q3 and 4 before we see a little bit more demand. There is an awful lot of pent-up demand, and as everybody else is saying, leisure will come roaring back very quickly. But it's domestic leisure. All of that international travel into the US, it's just not going to happen this year. The world is dealing with vaccines. It's not just us complaining that we can't get vaccines fast enough. It's everybody else. And then how do you assure safety? When I have a home in Baja, and I spent several weeks there over Christmas, and coming back from there, even though it feels, Baja itself, Cabo in that area, it feels relatively safe. But, I have to have a COVID test now to come back. What happens if the country doesn't have it? What happens if I'm positive? And, where do I go? What if I get sick? What if, the State Department changes its travel rules the same way this country, we're changing our rules constantly. So this whole COVID and politics, health services, and our individual wellness and our comfort level is going to impact how we travel and what type of hotel we choose. I'm lucky that I work with independents, small boutique hotels in great locations, and we can really tailor our message to our guest.
You think that's a real big advantage for the independents versus the brands right now? That flexibility?
From my perspective, but this is my world, right? From my perspective, I see people are craving the individuality and the smaller, more safety, human approach to hospitality. And we're holding the times we've been able to open, we held our own in Star. Now, Star is a very, very, to some degree, a useless tool right now because hotels are open, closed, the inventory isn't correct anymore. Some hotels have contract business with cities for COVID housing of homeless people or positive cases or whatever. So your Star report can be a market guide, but it can't be used in the traditional way that it has been used in the past because of the inventory swings. But it's still a trend. And so I do believe that independents and in good locations with a good product are not disadvantaged, despite what the big brands will tell you. And you guys see it on your statistics. I mean, our web direct compared to our OTA is significantly up in the small business that we're getting. We're not getting a lot, but what we're getting, the web direct has increased percentage-wise dramatically, if that makes sense.
Right. We've got about 30 seconds. With the time remaining, any advice for the hoteliers as we continue through this?
Be quick. Be quick on your feet. Ultra flexible. Look at what people are interested in. Whatever that's sustainability, volunteerism, health and wellness, climate, adventure, outdoor, safe enjoyment, and market that and embrace it and keep your eye on the ball and be creative.
That's some good advice. Thank you, Ingrid, for joining me.
Thank you.
You bet.
Great day. Bye.